Alright, in this video I'm going to be trying to bring this battery back to life, and I do it successfully. I've been using it for about a week between finishing the video portion and then doing this voiceover. This battery came out of my 2013 Mazda 3, and it was about 8 years old when I pulled it out and decided it was dead, and then it sat in my garage for 2 or 3 years. And what would happen with this thing is that you can charge the battery, start the car, but then within 6 to 12 hours, it wouldn't start the car anymore. So you had to keep charging it or boosting it basically every 12 hours. I could get away with like going to work with it, starting the car after work, but that's about it. Overnight, no way. So I'm gonna try a few things here to get it back to life. And ultimately I do, but I don't know if it's of value. You can see with the load tester, straight away the battery is in pretty rough shape. There's no cold cranking amps whatsoever. So I threw it on the charger, and in fact, I charged this thing several times. You can see there's no battery power. It's at 1% at this point in time. And then after I charge it up, obviously it's at 100%. And then I will try and redo the load test with this load tester. And it doesn't test terribly poorly, I guess. Maybe 600, 400 maybe. Kind of drops off really fast. So initially it looked like it was at 600, then 5, then 4, then 3. So anyway, I'm going to drain this, try and filter out the fluid, get all the junk out of it, and see what happens after that. So I'm going to take it out onto the yard and take it for a walk and just mix up the battery acid within the battery. I should have worn gloves at this point because it does leak a little bit, but I do go and put on gloves, and I am wearing eye protection this entire time. So for this Panasonic battery, there's just 6 caps right across the top for each of the cells. Just take those off. And then obviously you can get access to the electrolyte at that point in time. Now my understanding is the electrolyte is supposed to be clear, and you can see that this is absolutely black. And you'll see when I start filtering it just how much sediment is in this thing. And it does take quite a while before it stops coming out black. And in fact, I don't think I get all the black sediment out of it. But I am going to save this electrolyte, and I am going to strain it later. So that's why it's going into this tub. So anyway, I get as much of that out as I can. And then I'm going to fill each of the cells up with deionized water, and I do splash some across the top just to get all the electrolyte droplets that are still on the top. And then I take it for a walk out in the yard again, flip it over, mix it up. I found holding it upside down and shaking it was probably the best way to agitate it in the end, but it also leaks a bit if you're holding it upside down. And then I dump it out, and you can see it is also very black. I'm not sure how many times I do this. I think maybe 5 or 6 times, but I do it quite a bit. And I also use baking soda to drop into the fluid that I dump out of the battery, just so I can neutralize it a bit. And then, like I said, I just keep filling up the cells, putting the cap on, and then mixing it up. So kind of speed up the process here. It's always black. The liquid coming out of this thing never is really clear, even after running about 8 liters of the deionized water through it. But it definitely is much more clean and clear than the first time I did the process. If I were to do something different, I might not agitate it the first time when I was just dumping out electrolyte, and that probably would have kept the electrolyte a little bit cleaner for when I have to filter it. And you can see just how much sediment is actually in the bottom of this thing. And then once I'm tired of trying to clean the cells in this battery, I take the original electrolyte that I dumped out of it, and then I'm using coffee filters and a funnel. And this is a bit of a slow process, but just slowly pouring the electrolyte back into each cell, and obviously trying to keep the cells at the same level. So it does take a while, and Definitely the coffee filter strains out quite a bit, but the sediment also goes to the bottom of the fluid. So after you let it sit for a while, the sediment will sink to the bottom. And then just on the battery, some batteries are dark and hard to see. This one's obviously clear. So you can see a lower level line and an upper level line. Obviously, I'm going to go for the upper level line if I can. And you can see how much sediment is actually in the container that I'm dumping out. The bottom is completely covered in black. And then once I'm done with the old electrolyte, there isn't actually that much deionized water that needs to go in to top it off. Just a little splash into each of the cells, and then that's pretty much it. So at this point, I've gotten all the sediment out and then put the old electrolyte back in. And now I'm going to charge it up and see what happens. I do end up charging this thing, I'm going to say about 10 times. So I charge it, I do some load testing on it, kind of drops the power down, and then I charge it again. So I actually tried this several times, although I didn't film it every time because obviously that'd be a bit boring. But you can see that the voltage is about right. But as soon as you hit the load test, you know, it drops down again pretty fast. It'll hit that 600 and start going down to about 400. So after charging it a whole bunch of times and doing the load test, I went and got this hydrometer and tested that in all of the cells. And you can see that every cell is a little bit bad. So obviously this thing's supposed to float in the green, and everything is floating in the red. So even after it's fully charged and the battery charger says it's 100%, it's obviously not really at 100%. And this hydrometer cost me $10, and I break it in, I'm going to say, 5 minutes of ownership. So what I did was I did go and buy some new electrolyte from this company called Fortnine. They sell it in 1 liter bottles, and I think this was like $15 Canadian. This is probably what you're going to want to do, because it's not really that much more than getting a bunch of deionized water, really. Probably 2 of those containers would do the whole battery if you really drained everything out of it. So you can see the hydrometer is already broken, but I'm going to keep using it to remove the old electrolyte out of the battery so that I could put this fresh electrolyte in. I don't get all the electrolyte out, but I get out the majority of it. And the battery electrolyte is just water and sulfuric acid mix. And you can see that it is in fact clear and not black like what came out of this battery. And like I said, I'm just using this hydrometer as basically a turkey baster to remove all the electrolyte out of the battery. I'm going to do the exact same thing in reverse to put the electrolyte back in the battery. So all I'm doing is pulling it out of the container and then filling the cells back up to try and add good new electrolyte to the battery. And I'll be honest here, I came to the conclusion midway through this process that you are much better off to just buy a new battery. The cost of new electrolyte, the cost of deionized water, the problem with having a bunch of household hazardous waste kicking around that you're generating doing this is just not worth it. I would get the $20 core charge for the battery back and spend the $150 or so and just get a reliable battery. But anyway, once the new electrolyte's back in, I charge it up. I do agitate it a little bit, shake it up, get the new electrolyte mixing with the old electrolyte, and then come back after a little while and give another test. So not a shockingly better result, but definitely it holds at 500 pretty consistently. I don't really know what the cold cranking amps on this battery used to be because it's not shown anywhere. But all that said, I pull the good battery out of my Nissan Pathfinder. I throw this battery into the Nissan Pathfinder, and it's a 6-cylinder, unlike the Mazda 3 it came out of, which is a 4-cylinder. So hopefully it's a little bit more difficult to start for the battery. And it fires right up, no issues whatsoever. Obviously I just charged it, but I've had it in my vehicle for about a week now, and it's never failed me. So I don't know what the conclusion is here. I wouldn't do this ever again, but it's possible. So if you wanted to do it and get your battery working again, maybe you can do it. I think the battery is a little sketchy still, but maybe it'll keep going. We'll see. Anyway, thanks for checking out my video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.